It was just bugged and it's not doing it. Hey, dude, even your even the lunchboxes out of the fridge inside the Redeemer, they're sitting here. Hey guys, we're back, and with 3.16 on the edge of being released, we thought we'd go back and look at how 3.15's been. 3.15 is definitely by far been one of the biggest patches that's come out so far. I don't think you'll see another big patch like this until we get server meshing coming out. Some of the key things that have come out are, of course, the medical gameplay, the inventory system, the Ion, the Inferno, and the Redeemer. All these have really impacted the game in its individual ways. So let's get in and check out how these have actually fared up since the patch is released up until now, how they're still going, and what to expect if you're going to jump in at the end of 3.15 and into the future. One of the biggest things to come into the verse so far is persistence. This is one of the key steps on the way to actually getting server meshing, and it's something that I've been so excited for coming out. This has seen probably the most stable servers that we've ever seen since, you know, about 3.12 was probably the last time we saw really stable servers. But this has allowed some of the people that, you know, otherwise couldn't play the game before to be able to play it today, and has seen a massive influx, I think, in new players playing the game, since it's a little bit of a shining light of hope towards the end of the tunnel when we start seeing server meshing towards the end of next year. Now, I think one of the best things to come to the verse, and my personal favorite, is the inventory system. Now, I know a lot of people are shitting on it at the moment because it is a bit of a learning curve to actually understand it. And even I myself have had difficulty, especially at the start, understanding like that there's filter tabs, and even going to the point where we thought we were buying stuff and putting it in the inventory system and it was just disappearing, and we're cracking the shits like, we're spending all this money on gear and it's not even there. And all it was like down the bottom there was an extra page, there was a page button. But I think one of the biggest ones that has annoyed a lot of people that I think they need to fix and just get in the game right now is a move all button. I think we've all been frustrated. You go to a mission, you get all your loot, you come back to the station, and then you're sitting there spending like 20 minutes dragging stuff across. Not fun, CIG. Let's just get that transfer all button in and have that sorted so we're not sitting there 20 minutes dragging shit from one thing to another. Just boring. I think the next big thing is medical gameplay. That has been a game changer in how we approach the game, like from every aspect. So much so it's been a bit of a pain in the ass for myself, events and the kind of things we usually do in the org where, you know, we'd set up team 1 versus team 2 and go shoot them up and you just respawn in a cutty red. At the moment, the gameplay isn't really working how it should do. I've noticed quite a lot of times that when we've respawned, it hasn't spawned us back to the Carracks, to the tier 2 med beds. Hopefully this is fixed, or at least the range is extended, because when you're doing events where you're doing tank on tank combat and it's over a vast area, you know, we can't spawn back to Carracks, which really hampers our gameplay. And especially when, you know, Theatres of War isn't out, so there is no other kind of avenue on which we can approach, you know, training combat and ground combat in, or even space combat. You know, it's very hampering in events if we don't have the, you know, beds working how they're supposed to work. However, even though that sounds very negative, it's actually been a really, really good addition to the game. I've enjoyed it. The fact that we've actually had to implement medics like we do in the real military. We've had to teach medical gameplay, and we were teaching Casevacs before that, but now it's actually something that is a part of the game. So when we actually teach Casevacs, we're actually going to be having that mechanic in the game to have those events and that training, and it will become more pertinent. So I think it's an amazing addition to the game. It's, you know, something that's brung kind of challenges as well as, you know, a lot of improvements to the game. Something I would like to see with the medical gameplay is, you know, the missions to do with medical gameplay, you know, running around in an ambulance picking up NPCs. And I think that will probably come out, you know, post 3.17, because in 3.17 we've got the NPC missions coming in where we do taxis, drive NPCs around the verse. I believe that would be tier 1 of NPC led missions. So it'd be really, really cool if we saw that gameplay come in where, you know, you're driving around the verse, picking up, you know, NPCs that are downed and taking them back to the hospital. That would be a cool addition to the medical gameplay. They're pretty much the main mechanics that have been brought into 3.15 so far. There's been improvements to that, and the mechanics are working really, really well at the moment. Of course, there's been improvements to the inventory system, updates to that, as well as the medical gameplay. There's still a lot of bugs, and I'm hoping with the light content that are in 3.16, we'll see a lot of bug fixes happening there. Now, that pretty much does it for the content. If I've missed anything, comment below, and I'll make sure I catch it up in the next video. But we did have 3 big additions to the game when it came to ships. We had the aUEC series come out, and then we had the Redeemer. Now, I kind of liked the aUEC series, but I liked it a lot more before it came out, and I was kind of about the Redeemer. And then since they've come out, I've actually flipped my opinions on both. Whilst the aUEC is really, really good, I do believe it needs a damage increase because it doesn't really suit its role right now. There's not a lot of ships that are large enough for it to take on in the verse at the moment, and I think it would suit its role a lot further down the track when we start seeing bigger ships in the game. You know, a lot of people will probably, you know, argue with me, oh no, it's pretty powerful as it is. I think it does need that DB buff in the game, because when we see the biggest ships come out, if it's going to be like it is, it's not going to take them down. And I think to balance that out, it should be, you know, on the Inferno, it should spread its bullets all over the place, because, you know, if you're taking on a big ship, it wouldn't matter. And when it comes for the Ion, there should be a delay from pulling the trigger to actually the release of the energy weapon, like a build-up of energy before a release. Now, this would come into play against, you know, smaller ships. It would be a lot harder for those aUEC series to hit if it had those changes done to it. But then it would be really, really capable against the biggest ships. And if you got hit by it as a smaller ship, it would just like decimate you. But you'd take a skilled pilot to keep it on target whilst it's charging up, or, you know, a skilled pilot to land, you know, half the shots coming from the Inferno. And I think that would balance it out really well and let it sit in its category a lot better than it does at the moment. As for the Redeemer, I love it. Absolutely love the ship, and I think it actually brings more to the game than the aUEC series does, because it's such a capable ship for a small amount of crew. You've got such large weapons on there, and it's something that, you know, a small org or a couple of group of mates can actually run and have a lot of fun in, which is not what the aUEC brings. So if you've got a small org and you want a very capable ship, that's definitely the Redeemer. And the fact that you can still do box missions in it, you can carry a little bit of cargo, like you can do a lot in it with a group of people, and it's quite fun. And especially being a drop ship, dropping down onto the bunker missions in it is just cool. So I definitely think the Redeemer was a massive addition to the game, and brought a lot of gameplay to the smaller orgs, especially those that can't bring together hundreds of players with smaller ships. This can just pack a punch without all that. Now on for what we're all really here for, which is the money making, the fettuccine, the good green stuff. What is making money in 3.15? Well, the big kicker is probably prospect mining. Get a couple of prospectors together and you're making a bank. We're cutting secondary rocks into 100% quantaniums and selling them for $1 million for a night's work. This is a really good, low cost entry, because you can go and rent a prospector for cheap. If you get a couple of your mates together to rent the prospectors together, you can cut any rock you like. And then you can do this for like 2 nights, and you've got enough money to get your own prospector where you can slap on a helix head and go and, you know, make more money. The second biggest thing to make money in the game at the moment, especially right now, is Illuminati present hunting. Guys, if you are new to the game and you are not out there with a backpack slapping those presents inside and selling that shit, then you're doing it wrong. Definitely be getting out there and putting as many presents and getting the biggest backpacks and selling that as fast as possible. It costs little to nothing to get into that. About 5,000 aUEC will get you a good backpack to run around and pick up all these presents. And it's low risk. Nobody can shoot you. Nobody can hunt you down whilst you're doing this. It's all within landing zones. So if you're not doing this right now, definitely get out there, get those presents, and you can make about 120 aUEC if you've got the Pembroke armor and the Pembroke backpack on per hour. So definitely something you should be doing if you're new to the game, and that will get you enough money, especially to get yourself ready for Jump Town, which is the drug running next game. That would be probably a really big earner, and you'll have enough, bank to be able to go do that. So definitely get out there and get that backpack and start shoving those Christmas presents in it and selling that shit like it's crazy. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this. We'll be getting more videos out soon, especially I think the mining video should be coming out soon. If you guys haven't gone and checked out the merch store as well, go check out the merch store and join us on Twitch when we go live Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays and Sundays. So until then, I'll catch you guys on the flip side.